So I got a lot of no votes on my question is, do people want me to answer why I stopped being a white supremacist? Okay. And somebody in the comments said that's not something you can quit. Oh, yes it is. And I have not been a white supremacist since I've been since about 2015. And come 2016 with the whole Trump fiasco, that was when I really did away with the whole concept of white supremacy entirely. Now, what people need to know, this is the thing. So what was it with when I was saying, oh, I used to be a hardcore white supremacist in 2016? Well, Trump, who ended up being the great white nope, had me a little bit interested. I thought he was going to get rid of the foreigners and make the United States a white Christian Protestant nation again. He didn't exactly do that. I started having my doubts of Trump, and what really turned me off of Trump was actually his supporters that were very aggressive towards non-whites to the point where it was just utterly ridiculous. And what started coming forth as quote unquote white supremacy at the time was comical, like almost cartoonish supervillain nonsense. Like the alt-right is comically cartoonish with the way they hate people that aren't white. A lot of people have this misconception that if you're a white supremacist, then you automatically hate and despise everybody that isn't white. This isn't true. This is, even as a former white supremacist, I will explain what white supremacy is, okay? White supremacy is the belief that white people are in some way superior to all other people. That does not mean that they want to hurt all other people, okay? I would say, for example, I have my cat right here. I would say as an animal, I am superior to my cat. Does that mean I want to harm my cat? Not necessarily, or not at all in the situation with my cat. Or, the people don't understand, are you a human supremacist? How many human supremacists are there? Are there people that eat meat? This is what's funny. I'm a vegan for ethical reasons. Like, I don't eat any animal foods for ethical reasons. How many people are human supremacists that believe humans are more highly evolved than other animals? Now, does that mean that humans should destroy all other animals and do whatever they want with other animals and blah, 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 blah? A lot of people that would consider themselves human supremacists that use the idea of humans are more important than other animals will use the excuse, well, that gives me the right to eat animals and consume their flesh and do whatever I want to animals because I am a human supremacist. That's what that is. That's the term speciesism. I'm also a speciesist, okay? However, I have certain ethical opinions based in science. I do not believe it is right to eat animals or to torture animals, okay? Because I read Charles Darwin's book, The Expression of Emotions in Humans and Animals, and it really changed my outlook towards how humanity treats animals, and I began the process of becoming a vegan the moment I read the book, actually. I went from a pescatarian to a lacto-ovo-vegetarian to an ovo-vegetarian to a vegan, eventually. Okay, and I've been a vegan now, I guess it's been about 11 years I've been a vegan. Okay, and you know what? That doesn't make me any less of a human supremacist. Now, what's the deal with for example, do I fetishize Southeast Asian women or Hispanic women? No. Why do I seek companionship from Hispanic women? Okay, not necessarily Southeast Asian women, but more so Hispanic women that are more familiar with the concepts of the Americas. Well, the main reason actually has to do with value systems. During the 2016 election, when everybody was saying if Trump won, they were going to move to Canada, I was saying if Hillary Clinton wins, I'm moving to Mexico. Okay? And unfortunately, Trump turned out to be worse than Hillary Clinton, I think. But why did I say that? Well, because the conservative values in Mexico, Latin America has very traditional values. Latin Americans, not the ones that we get in this country, generally speaking, but Latin Americans in Latin America tend to have very conservative values. They tend to believe in a patriarchal system. They tend to believe in things that people that are conservative, like I am a social conservative. People tend to not be pro-homosexual in Latin America. People tend to not be, and this is the thing too, and I'm going to get into this. I'm going to get into how I'm not anti-homosexual just because I don't agree with homosexuality, okay? Because these are all things that are just being assumed, okay? So with the whole, oh, you can't stop being a white supremacist. Well, what stopped me from being a white supremacist is the pathetic, useless white people that are portraying themselves as that way. And I realized, most white women that I've met, they have no value system, they have no convictions. All they want to do is shop, 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 and they want to find a guy with money if they want to find a guy at all. Most of them just want to shop, and nobody wants to reproduce anymore. Nobody cares about the promulgation of the people. And it just got to the point where, I've had, this is what's funny, even when I was a white supremacist. I think I've pointed this out in the past. When I was at Job Corps, I was in Job Corps when I was 18. I dated a Puerto Rican girl. I dated a couple Puerto Rican girls, actually, one and then another one. And the reason why was I needed them to translate what the Hispanic guys were saying about me, because it was not uncommon to get jumped at Job Corps by Hispanics and blacks. And other people, mostly blacks actually, very rarely Hispanics, but the Hispanics would get aggressive if they got you alone or something. Like if there was a group of 9 of them, they would get aggressive with you if they could corner you. But with the blacks, you really did have something to worry about. So I did date the one girl I think was Mexican actually, but I dated a Puerto Rican girl and a Mexican girl when I was in Job Corps, while I was actively a white supremacist. And the reason why was because it was a relationship that was a necessity. And also, I've always had, the thing is, do I like the aesthetic of Native American women? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not going to lie about that. I think many women look very pretty, regardless of race. Many different races of women look very beautiful. Okay, it's more so on an individual basis, but I do like the Native American aesthetic, which is present in Hispanic women. So after I quit being a white supremacist, I don't see any reason not to seek out the companionship of somebody that would A, share my value system, B, be more interested in things that I'm interested in. Okay, with the East Indian girls, okay? When I was in high school, I dated an East Indian girl. When I was actually, it was actually right after I had graduated high school. When I was in college, I had dated an East Indian girl. Unfortunately, she moved to New York to pursue an education, and we broke up. And I was actively a white supremacist at the time then, too. You see, the problem is, if you're a white supremacist and you have a brain, it's hard to find women that are white that are interested in things that you're interested in. Biology, gerontology, medicine, things like that. White women, generally speaking, are not interested in things that matter. They're interested in Starbucks. They're interested in any number of stupid things. It's very rare that you will find a white woman that has interests that are any deeper than the very superficial, like, I care about people, Black Lives Matter, and all that crap. That's what you find with the general white female population. A lot of Hispanic women, and in particular Southeast Asian women, especially in the United States, they don't have the same love of a certain group of people as white women do. And why is this? Because they have to live alongside them. Your typical Latina and your typical Latina from Texas or Arizona, or your typical East Indian girl from somewhere that is not very pleasant, or your typical Arab girl for that much, is not necessarily down with the cause like the typical white woman is, and they're not typically liberal, especially not socially liberal. Now, what's funny is people don't understand this. Like I said, I've not been a white supremacist since about 2016. The Trump thing really did it in. I had enough of Trump. But the thing is, I had another friend that actually strongly encouraged me to come to Morocco to see her. And I didn't, because she was a beautiful woman. Now, a lot of people think Moroccans are black. They're not. They're a third thing. What it is Moroccans are they're part black, they're part white, and they're part Semitic, like Arab Semitic. And they've evolved apart from those three groups and are a different thing. They're a fourth thing. So my point would be, the reason I didn't ever go to Morocco is, number one, I get kind of iffy with Islamic countries, but number two, she had already had 2 sons. But she was a very nice young lady. She was a Muslim, very nice, very attractive, very interested in me coming to Morocco. She had offered to come to the United States, but never really did. And yeah, I don't have this, I never did have this hardcore animosity toward any particular group of people. It might surprise people if you've ever been around white supremacists. I'm not a white supremacist, but if you've ever been around white supremacists, it would probably, especially older white supremacists, people that are now in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, it might surprise you how much white supremacists actually judge people on a person-by-person basis, on an individual basis, and by the content of who they are on the inside and who they are by their character versus their race. And I think that's what confuses a lot of people. And what you see a lot in the people that are younger than me, like the alt-right people, is they go overboard trying to cover up their insecurities and of who they are and such. And I've never been like that. I've never had a problem. One of the reasons also, I'm familiar a little bit with Latin American culture because I've worked with so many Latin Americans in construction and hardscaping and landscaping and roofing, and so I've worked with a lot of Latin Americans. That's why when a lot of people a lot of conservatives blame the Mexicans for coming here and taking our jobs. It's not the Mexicans or the Guatemalans or the Ecuadorians or whoever's coming here. It's not their fault. It would be like Mexico offering me free everything to come to Mexico and make babies, and me not going to Mexico for free everything and to make babies. If I didn't take that offer, I'd be an idiot. And that's what we're offering the people of Latin America as well as the people of the world. And it's a shame that more people don't understand that the real people to blame are actually white politicians. I made numerous videos about this. I think some of them were taken down by YouTube when they went crazy and started purging everything. But really, the people that are to blame for the state of white people in the United States isn't really the Jews. It's and this is the thing, I've also made videos about I'm not leaving links in the description, this is just a rambling, but I've left links in the description. A lot of people let the Catholic Church get away with a lot. The Catholic Church controls a lot more in the United States than the Jewish lobby does, okay? But a lot of people let the Catholic Church get away with it because for whatever reason we've decided to assimilate the Catholic Church. Well, the Catholic Church is far worse, in my opinion, than the Zionists. As far as their meddling in politics and things like that, especially meddling in politics to favor pedophilia and things like that. It's very disturbing stuff coming from the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church, in my opinion, needs to be banned in the United States. So, essentially, what you see happening is, you see a lot of white supremacists, they blame a minority of a minority, the Zionist lobby. instead of blaming the white politicians, because remember, majority white politicians still control the country, like Trump, who sold us out to Israel and Saudi Arabia, they're not blaming the people who are actually doing the selling out. They're not blaming the people whose fault it actually is, which is white people. I don't blame Hispanic people for them coming to this country. It irks me that they refuse to assimilate, but who's allowing them to not assimilate? When my mother's grandmother's family came here, or when my mother's family, I should say, when they came here from Brazil, they had to stop speaking Portuguese and start speaking English, and they had to assimilate into the country. And that was in the 1950s. We're not forcing assimilation on the Latin Americans that are coming in fresh. The United States has long had long-standing Latin American populations, from Colorado on down when we took it from Mexico. And the reason I'm against that Aztlan crap is because that's not part of Mexico. I'm not going to get into that, but Mexico far exceeds the limits of Mexico, of the Aztec Empire. So what we took away from Mexico was things that were acquired during the Spanish-American Empire, and we took them from Mexico. And I don't believe that we should be giving Colorado or California or Texas or any of these parts of our country back to Mexico. I don't agree with that. However, if you keep electing weak, liberal, white politicians, pretty soon we probably will be giving these things back to Mexico. And that's all for this video. I haven't been a white supremacist for a very long time.